What up? Today we're going to be reading about photosynthesis and why it's important, how it actually gives you energy, and different ways plants go through it. So here we go. Soar through the tops of trees with National Geographic explorer Mark Olson as he discovers the hidden lives of leaves. Sunlight flickers through the leaves of the trees in the forest. The trees are full of life and sound. Birds squawk and chirp. Monkeys call out to one another. Snakes hiss and slither along branches. This morning, the forest is filled with a new sound. It begins as a faint buzzing. The buzzing grows louder and louder. Suddenly, a man flies over the treetops. The buzzing is coming from a winged machine strapped to his back. Meet Mark Olson. He's a botanist. He studies trees. The machine he's using is a paraglider. He zips over the treetops to look at leaves. He wants to find out how leaves gather and use sunlight. He knows it is one of the keys to a tree's survival. So the main thing I read about here is about something with trees and sunlight. He wants to find out how leaves gather and use sunlight. Olson gets ready to land. He flips a switch, turning off the motor. The glider gently carries him to the ground. He lands near the trees he's been studying. They're called moringa trees. Moringa trees fascinate him. People use their leaves and roots for food and their bark for medicine. Some people call them miracle trees. To Olson, the miracle is what happens inside each leaf every day. So, in this paragraph here, the main thing that I read about was moringa trees and how people use them for food and medicine. And that's why they're a miracle tree. All right. Question one. What is the main idea of the first paragraph? What is Mark Olson trying to figure out? So if I go back up to the paragraph and I have to figure out what the main idea is, what does Mark Olson want to figure out? Well, good, let me take a note about it over here. He wants to find out how leaves gather and use sunlight. So for number one, your answer is Mark Olson wants to figure out how the leaves gather and use sunlight. So type your answer here and pause it as you do so. Question two, what sentence helped you figure out what the main idea of the first paragraph is? So the sentence that helped me figure that out is, if I highlight it for you here, he wants to find out how the leaves gather and use sunlight. He knows it's the key to the tree's survival. Highlight that note over there. Perfect. Question three. In the second paragraph, why do people call the moringa trees miracle trees? So this question is asking, what about this paragraph here is telling us that these moringa trees are miracle trees? Well, we made a note over here. So they're called moringa trees because they're used for food and medicine. So we just answered question one. It's in your notes right there. Question two, which sentence helped you figure out the main idea of the first paragraph? You highlighted it right there. In question three, in the second paragraph, why do they call them moringa trees? We made a note of it over there. So you have to type your answers here. Next section. Like all green plants, trees make their own food. Interesting. Trees make their own food. Interesting. I'm going to highlight that. It's important to me. That's about the main idea. Leaves use the sun energy to mix water and carbon dioxide, a gas in the air. This makes food for the plant. It also gives off oxygen. We call this process photosynthesis. This process is as important to us as it is to the tree. We breathe in the oxygen that the tree gives off. This creates a cycle of life. It keeps life on Earth going. A lot of stuff there. So we saw We breathe in oxygen that the tree gives off. It keeps life going on Earth. I'm going to highlight that. So trees give us oxygen, and we give them CO2, which is carbon dioxide. So we breathe in oxygen from the trees, and when we breathe out, that gas goes to the trees to help them actually breathe. So question 4, explain in your own words, how do plants make their own food? So if I look back on the paragraph here, leaves use the sun energies to mix water and carbon dioxide, a gas in the air. This makes food for the plant. So the sun's energy to mix water and carbon dioxide. So how do plants make their own food? They use the sun energy to mix water and carbon dioxide. Next section. Olson looks up at the leaves of one large tree. He squints a little. It is bright and sunny now. Yet each night this tree waits through the darkness for the first rays of the sun to appear. As the sun comes up, it begins to warm the tree's many leaves. Tiny pores on the leaves open. A little bit of water evaporates through them. Carbon dioxide from the air goes into the pores. Inside each leaf, chlorophyll soaks up the sunlight. At the same time, the moringa's roots take in water and minerals. The roots reach deep into the soil. Water travels up the roots of the trunk. Then the water flows into the tree's branches and into each leaf. Each leaf makes a tiny amount of food. So this section here is basically saying it's, walking us through the process of photosynthesis. It's how plants make their own food. The more sunlight the leaves capture, the better. A grown moringa needs thousands of leaves to keep it alive. Together, the leaves have until evening to make food to feed the tree. Interesting. So question 5, find a picture that summarizes what the second paragraph is about. Put in the space below. So this paragraph here was about the process of photosynthesis and how trees open up. Your job is to find a picture that walks us through that process and put it in the space here for question 5. Question 6, in the third paragraph, is it better for the tree to get more sunlight or less sunlight? Let's go back to that third paragraph, reread it. So the more sunlight the leaves capture, the better. Aha! I'll highlight that. The more sunlight captures, the better. Answer's right there. We're almost done. Here's the last section. It's called Above and Below. From the air, Olson can see how tree branches and leaves are arranged. Some look like a head of broccoli. Some look like a brain. The moringa trees look like a cloud of green feathers. So this part here is basically about, this describes how leaves look from the air. These patterns help each tree get as much sunlight as possible. Let's highlight that. A tree with large leaves has leaves spaced far apart from each other. They grow on thick branches. The giant leaves of the African raffia palm are the largest tree leaves in the world. One leaf may grow as long as 20 meters, which is 65 feet. By growing far apart from each other, each leaf can collect sunlight. So that's pretty big. That's about almost as 10 yards. Leaves have other ways to get light too. Some leaves grow in a spiral around their stems. Others grow across from each other on the stem. Many leaves have notched or cut out edges. Light can shine through them onto leaves growing below. So this section here is describing types of leaves and how the shapes of the leaf helps the trees Get light to make food. Let me fix that typo. Question 7. In the first paragraph, explain how Mr. Olson describes the 3 different patterns of the 3 leaves. Go back to the first paragraph, looking for a pattern of leaves. Some look like broccoli, some look like a brain, and some look like a cloud of feathers. There's your answer. Some look like broccoli, some look like a brain, and some look like a cloud of feathers. Question 8. In the last paragraph, describe the different ways that leaves can get light. All right. Last paragraph. Leaves have other ways to get light too. Some leaves grow in a spiral, others grow across from each other, or many have notched or cut out light. There's your answer right there for question 8. Any questions? Hit me up.